Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So yet another key figure involved in the asylum protest has been outed as a child abuser. It must be someone on the pro-refugee side, right? No, of course not. One of the big names involved in the Epping anti-asylum protest turns out to be someone who was banged up for sexually abusing a child. And this is not an isolated case. If parents are genuinely interested in protecting their kids, forget about hotels, keep your children away from anti-asylum protests, otherwise you will be surrounding your own offspring with abusers. But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button to stay notified. So articles at the weekend were running with the news that a key chronicler and promoter of the recent anti-asylum protest had previously been given a custodial sentence for indecently assaulting a schoolgirl. Parents took their children to his protest, claiming they wanted to protect their kids. Don't know about you, if I had kids and I wanted to protect them, don't think I'd be taking them to a rally chock full of abusers. Now you may well say, well, they wouldn't have known he was an abuser at the time. Sure enough, I didn't. But it is known that these groups are full of them. This is not an isolated case, just the latest example. I'd already spoken of the fact that about 2/5 of the people arrested for rioting last summer were known to the police for domestic abuse. Now, when I've mentioned that, there's a few tried to claim, hang on a minute, Phil, that's not a good sample because the police, these sort of things, they only arrest the most violent members of the groups. But that wasn't true last summer, was it? The beauty of this statistic is that last summer, people were arrested just for being there. Being part of a riot is a criminal offence, even if you are personally not carrying out any acts of violence. This is the difference between being part of a riot and being part of a protest where maybe a few dodgy elements turn violent. So literally anyone who was photographed in attendance last year and identified and therefore arrested, that meant it was a genuine snapshot of the movement, the openly violent as well as those who just go along for the spectacle. 2/5 of them known for DV, which means if you go along to any similar protest, even if it's a genuine protest and not a riot, you will statistically be overwhelmingly likely to be rubbing shoulders with men who abuse their partners and or children. You're literally joining forces with abusers. But the evidence doesn't stop there either. Those at the very top of the campaigns are implicated, albeit indirectly. Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage are not themselves abusers, but they've had no problems associating themselves very strongly with those who are. It's not like associate of theirs gets outed and then they drop that association. Oh, I didn't realise they were like that. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with them anymore. No. They kept supporting them. In the case of Nigel Farage, he's constantly supporting Andrew Tate, not even after his abuse was revealed, but because of it. Andrew Tate is an abuser. He's an abuser of girls and young women. He's also an abuser of boys. He warps their attitude towards women. And that's all there is to him. This is not a facet of Tate, it's his entire being. And Farage celebrates that. In his case, it's his corruption of young boys that excites Farage. Make young lads think they've got an axe to grind and Farage will happily sell them the whetstone. And we saw his attitude to women in two ways recently, didn't we? A few weeks ago, Reform UK held what they said was a women's policy forum. They could not name a single policy they have for protecting women. This weekend, Nigel Farage gets his hired thug to violently push a female journalist away just for asking him about stamp duty. She wasn't even standing in his way. Protecting women? No, this is abusing women. And if people can't see the difference, you may need to have a little sit down and think about your life. As for Tommy Robinson, Hope Not Hate chronicles some of his hypocrisies when it comes to child sexual exploitation. No shortage of examples of him covering up for his abusive mates and associates. You see the same thing from anti-immigration leaders in the United States as well. The projection is strong with the anti-immigration movement. Oh, we want to protect kids. What you mean is you abusing kids and you want to cover it up. Well, they wouldn't abuse kids because they keep going out protesting saying they want to protect kids. They can't be an abuser. That's how it's supposed to work. Not all of the leaders of these movements are themselves abusers, of course, but they cover for them. They're literally covering for white abusers and persuading the public that this abuse is only perpetrated by those with skin pigmentation. And that's the thing. Yes, people of colour are abusers too. Yes, Asian grooming gangs should be investigated. Indeed, they were when Keir Starmer was in charge of the CPS for the first time in history. But when you put excessive emphasis on non-white abuse. You don't just unfairly tarnish innocent groups. You take the focus away from guilty people as well. When you never report on white grooming gangs, you're actually endangering children, not protecting them, because you're conditioning parents to not see white men as a threat, as an equal threat. And as for Anthony Styles, why was he able to not only attend those epic protests, but broadcast them on his YouTube channel? Oh, the YouTube channel's not there anymore. Funny that. Surrounded by children. The Tory shit rags, not a thing to say, at least not until weeks later. I mean, fair play to those who have reported it since, but if this was a cause the Daily Mail were against, he'd have been outed on day one. If there'd have been a campaign or a protest they really don't like, they'd be looking at all the key figures and doing background checks on them. Aha, got them. Be front page next day. No, they allowed him to ingratiate himself with the parents of children, all attending the same protest, didn't say a word. Basically, if you want to protect your kids, the last place you should ever take them is an anti-immigration rally of any kind. If there were even a tenth of the number of child abusers in the woke ranks, you'd never hear the end of it. Be on the front page on a near constant basis. But it turns out the woke aren't abusers. It's the hateful populists who abuse, and they want everyone else to join in with their abuse. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even join for access to streams and behind the scenes updates. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.